So today I'm going to continue talking about forgiveness, partly inspired by the fact that we are in a period of time called the Omer in Kabbalah, which ends, it does end on June 1st. And theoretically, it's a period of 49 days where we could, if we applied the tools that we have to transform our consciousness, we could clear all of our karma in those 49 days. We have that opportunity every year. There's a certain leverage of the universe, a lot of light coming into the world at that time that supports that, which is why this time feels so intense. But today I wanted to talk about relationships. Relationships are the most important thing in our lives because our relationships are eternal. Your perception of someone when you die will stay in that vibration. And part of the reason why we come back is to transform our perceptions of lack into wholeness, which means we see that everything is God helping us awaken. And when we truly know that, we feel love for everyone, no matter what they've done. It is possible for us to embody the level of love that Jesus showed the world. And so relationships are eternal, so they are so important. The way that you think of someone in your life, even if they did horrendous things to you, and I know I've heard stories in my life and met people where I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine that, a childhood like that, or an experience like that. However, whatever the experience is, was God's plan to give you life. But let's talk specifically about relationships. Our relationships with other souls are eternal. That's what you take with you when you die. You never die, but that's what goes on, right? That's what keeps us coming back with similar clusters of people until you've reached the point where not only have you realized what they really are, what you really are, and what they really are, which is God sending you a message, but also that you really stop judging them, even if they are a narcissist, even if they did horrendous things to you. I promise you, the way that it works, the way that karma works, is what you judge, you will experience in precise detail. And in my life, I have found that when I judge something, I experience it almost immediately, but in my own, sometimes not playing out in the world in my life, but in my own internal world. If I have a judgment about something, I will literally feel what it feels like to be that person so that I can stop judging them. And that's a form of grace and mercy that I believe if you really work with your divinity and you really have a sincere intention to embody it, that unconditional love, there's this kind of mercy where you might experience something without having to have a big trauma and drama in the world. Even recently, in the world stage, there's a collective rising up, a conversation about spiritual narcissism, which is real. And there are people in the world that have amazing healing gifts and that have also raped women and children. And, in my life, it took me a very long time to be able to actually truly forgive stuff like that because it touched my personal life. But what I've seen, what I've been shown is if I don't stop judging that, I might have a kid that experiences that, or that is the perpetrator, or it will come back into my life somehow, not as a punishment, but because we are rigged to realize love and oneness. That's what we want. We want the karma. We want karma. It's not that we get what we do as a punishment. It's that we want to be God in this world. And so when we're not God, when we're judging, when we're separating ourselves, we'll receive an experience to awaken that delusion. So like recently for me, I felt like a forgiveness, and I said, okay, like everything is redeemable. Everything. I want to see the world as God sees the world, which is that you could be a pretty serious offender of some kind, harmer of children, and you're still redeemable. You're still loved. You're still God. And that doesn't mean that you should let certain people babysit your kids or you shouldn't, there's certain spiritual gurus out there, which if I had a kid, I wouldn't let them go on a retreat, at their place or anything like that, if I could help it. We still have to make decisions that are intelligent, but that our foundation is love. So our relationships are eternal. So ever since I was a child, death has been my counselor. Death has been my teacher. And later on in my life, I had cancer, which was not a deadly cancer. I was never told I was going to die, but it awoke this thing that was already, this mechanism that was already operating in me, which is like, gosh, I really don't have time to hold a grudge. I've always been like that. I've always wanted to close space. I've always wanted to reconcile. I've always wanted to, and in a way, the shadow side of that has kept me glued to things that were really, truly unhealthy for me. Because in my soul, I'm like, I know it's possible to close the space. And I learned, by trial and error, that you can just close the space in your mind without having to close the space in the world. But death has always shown me, like, you don't have time to blame. You don't have time to be angry. You don't have time to hate anybody. This urgency that I feel, it's like, I've always known that I don't want to die hating anyone. This life for me is about transforming my perceptions, largely about souls, about transforming my victim mentality, transforming every place where I have a victim mentality into creator consciousness, which is, wait, like, this is all God. Like, I had to have that experience. I had to have this family. I had to have that humiliation. That's just what I had to have. And we can learn to not recreate lessons. Yes, that's one of the points of spiritual practice. That's one of the points of being proactive, is to not just, like a skipping CD, learn the same thing over and over again. There's a more intelligent way to do things. But it had to be that way. That's God. That's accepting the oneness of God. Your ego might not like what God needed for you, what God chose for you, and really what you chose for you, right? You are God. What you chose for you to evolve yourself, to be able to embody your divinity. Your ego might not like it, but like being right and tit for tat and revenge and being offended, those things are so tiny. It's like, those things are like amoebas. Like, those things are so tiny in comparison with the true power inside of you. The things that happen that humiliate you, hurt you, they shouldn't be ignored, right? We have to honor these deep pains that come up. The pain is the doorway. The pain is the veil. We have to be present with the veil and dissolve the veil. But in reality, like, you're like this gigantic being. Your head is like the cosmos. Your body is the earth. Like, you're this giant being, and somebody said something bad about you. It doesn't matter to the real you. It only matters to your ego. You have to remember who you really are. But I wanted to specifically touch on relationships in this period, the Omer, these 49 days where we could, if we wanted to, we could clear karma, we could close space. Such a big, important part of that is the way we think about the people in our lives. The perceptions that we have about others, we carry with us. And yes, you might have an enlightened perspective about it when you cross over. You might see it more clearly, but you'll want to come back and rework it and find the oneness of it in the world. So why wait? Why wait? Let's do it now. So I think it would be really powerful to take an inventory of people in your life. Who is your mind still arguing with? What is your mind still defending? Who are you trying to convince of something in your mind? Are you still like having conversations, defensive conversations in your mind about what someone did to you? Put that all down on paper and become aware of it. And when it comes up in your mind, offer a symbolic gesture, offer forgiveness, offer something, a symbol, offer something that means, I know that you're God. Not only do I forgive you, that's not really forgiveness. Forgiving someone, saying, okay, it's okay that you did, that's not really forgiveness. Forgiveness is creator consciousness. Forgiveness is everything is love. You were exactly who not only I needed you to be, but I asked you to be, to wake me up out of my delusions, to wake me up into my divinity, to help me transform something in myself that needs to be transformed. Okay, you have a lot of leverage this week to be able to do that. It is so enormously important not to hold grievances, not to hold grievances. You lose physical energy from your chakra system and therefore from your body. And if you don't have mental, emotional, and physical health, you can't be as vital as you could be to be able to walk in this world, to be able to pass tests, and to be able to create. If your subconscious is always, subconscious meaning your victim mentality, is always getting your attention in the form of body pain, in the form of mental arguments, in the form of emotional identification, it's a distraction from your ability to move forward in a very powerful way. So I think it would be very powerful for this week to forgive. Look at where you are not forgiving and forgive. And if it's someone that you really, really deeply loved, feel underneath the anger that you may feel the sadness. If we slow down, if we're angry at someone and we're arguing with them for a really long time, we're avoiding the truth, which is that we're sad. We're sad that it's come to this. It's better that you feel the grief. Anger is a big distraction from grief. Feel the grief. Feel the grief. And then offer a symbol of communion, offer a symbol of forgiveness. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a beautiful day.